Test. Good.
Hello, hello. Pronto?
Yeah.
Uno, due, tre.
We'll call it Italy. All right, who's gonna start? Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny, your camera's right in there.
What am I doing? We're starting already? Any preemptive?
Ready?
Yeah.
Let's have some fun with this one, boys.
Okay. You guys ready?
I know dreams call your name.
Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of On the Couch, where we dive into mortgage strategies. We talk about entrepreneurship, and then sometimes we got guests. Today, we have a very special guest. He is somebody we get to work closely with who helps support our business and grow. We have the president of DLC and DLCG, Mr. Eddy Cocciollo.
Hey, great to be here. I don't know how special, but I'm so happy to be here.
I don't know. When I told some people that you were coming on today, like, no fucking way. Like, Eddie's going to be on the
How
show.
did you get him out on the show?
Yeah, somebody.
Well, this is overdue. We've talked about
we've
it a
talked
few
it,
times, so I'm just happy I'm here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking,
course.
carving out that time and being on the couch. We said we're going to just do some off the cuff stuff today, and we're going to be raw about things. So obviously this.
Well, let's start off by Eddie. Introduce us and tell us how
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
where you are today.
Yeah, sure.
Where you come
how I
from.
got to where I am today. Yeah, it's been a journey. It's a journey, just part of being in the financial world. You know, starting, believe it or not, as a teller and just kind of moving up in the ranks within banks. Then coming to an aha moment where I could be an entrepreneur, more of an entrepreneur. You know, selling on my own. And that started with the mortgage sales force, and that was with CIBC. And that's where I really got my taste of, you know, helping people be, you know, get to their financial goals and their dreams, and actually putting smile on people's faces by helping them. I went from there to a broker. I brokered in Mississauga. I was a broker under a brand called Assured Mortgages. They're an independent brand. And I was in-house at a Sutton Group office, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I enjoyed being around that atmosphere of, you know, realtors that had same mindsets, you know, somewhere to hang my hat, go to work every day. And I loved it. And then I had an opportunity to help GE launch in Canada. I got a phone call. And I said, oh, wow, like just when my business was sort of taking off and I was seeing some success, I just can't say no to this opportunity. GE was the biggest company in the world, and to help them launch in Canada was very attractive and appealing.
Wow, how old are you back at that point?
Ooh, yeah, I was in my 30s, probably early 30s. I'm going to say maybe 31. Wow, Johnny, you just aged me big time, man.
No one needs to know now. I'm just saying, when was this? That's good.
Yeah, it was
It looks like
great.
it was 9 years ago.
Yeah. And it was in that non-prime space. At that time, it was just taking off. A lot of American companies were coming into Canada to expand. So it was an awesome time to
Was
come
it like
in.
a dealer program, or was it like?
No, you know, they launched in Canada on that non-prime space, but also GE was the first to launch 30, 35, and 40-year AM.
Oh, really?
Unfortunately, it was short-lived. CMHC, if you remember way back then.
That was before my time in the business. So.
Yeah. They actually started to match it. So we only had a small window of that advantage. The whole idea of going that amortization was, even though you paid a higher rate, your payment was comparable or the same or close to the same as a prime rate, and you sort of be in a penalty box. And the exit strategy was to get you to the A space. So the program was, you know, put together in a way that helped clients get into homes faster, but without, you know, the huge fees or the really high interest rates, or at least not the big payments. So it was very compelling. We did well. You know, first year, I think we did $1 billion or close to it. And then we expanded and the financial crisis happened. So that was sort of the killer of GE money at the time, and a lot of different non-prime institutions at the time. And then that's when I moved over to CIBC, believe it or not, to launch a similar program under First Line. Do you guys remember First Line?
Yep.
So First Line had a program called Access, which is non-prime, but unfortunately CIBC got caught up in that asset-backed paper stuff where the reputational risks were more prevalent than the actual risks of the product. So they decided to shut that down at
that
that
makes
time. And then Morgan Stanley Canada came up as an opportunity. And I was hired to lead Morgan Stanley Canada in June 2008. Led that till Gary and Chris acquired Morgan Stanley Canada in a bid system. They acquired that in June of 2013. I continued being Morgan Stanley Canada's president until they tapped on my shoulder to lead DLC in 2019. So I've been leading DLC ever since then, and I just added to some of my responsibility overlooking DLCG, including Mortgage Architects and Morgan Stanley Canada. And there we are.
Now
That's
you're
me
here
today.
on
And
the
now
couch.
I'm on the couch. Yeah.
Wow, that's
That's been a journey
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
a lot.
Yeah.
You brought up a couple things and the show, like we talked to mortgage agents. So I sort of want to go back to how you brought up being a teller at first.
Okay. Yeah.
And do you recommend that for people trying to get into this business or thinking to get into this business, like going through the bank system first, or
Jumping in as a broker 2 feet, because we get asked this question a lot.
The answer is depends. Banks are very good training grounds. They do a really good job.
They got a lot of money.
They do have a lot of money,
Yep.
great training programs, support. You're going to learn lending. You're going to learn what it takes to, put a deal together and all of that piece. And then, the sales pieces, maybe they lack a little bit, but not bad. I mean, you look at our best brokers today, they came from banks.
Yeah.
okay.
So would I suggest it? If you are trying to get your feet wet, you're new in the business, that's not a bad path. But it doesn't mean you won't be successful. You came straight into mortgage brokerage. All you need is a mentor. If you have a good person that's going to teach you the ropes, so to speak, someone that's going to look after you in terms of, understanding the business, what it takes, the sales pieces, the knowledge of, underwriting, product knowledge, et cetera, I think you can do just as well coming right into the business, to be honest.
So if you were to talk to somebody and give them advice and say, hey, you're getting into the mortgage business as an MMS or becoming in as an agent, coming into the broker world, it would be finding a brokerage that can
100%.
give you both worlds, teach you the mortgage business and teach you, because we say this all the time, like you're entering a business where you're entering sales and marketing. That's the business you're getting into. And then the byproduct is mortgages. That's the product you're offering.
You hit it right on. Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. When you look at the success of our brokers and our biggest brokers, it's not because they're educated or they came from a well-to-do family background, or it's not that, they've been in Canada forever and they went through the process of, different jobs. It's mostly because they have grit, they have good habits, and they want to work hard.
Yep.
If you have those three characteristics, I'd say this is a great industry for you, and the sky is the limit.
It is the limit. And we sit down with agents that or people that are trying to join our brokerage, and we try to figure out, like, me and Johnny will talk about these agents, be like, do you think it's worth taking on this agent?
And you never know.
And you really never know.
You
Like
don't
some
know.
of our agents that we brought in, we thought like we're never going to get anywhere, and the ones that we thought that were going to get somewhere didn't end up getting anywhere.
You hit it right on. You just don't know. You don't know the communities that they're around, the influence that they have, how, gritty and hardworking they are. You can look at someone and go, there's no way this person, and they'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
So this is a lesson that whoever comes in the door, you should give them a chance, because you never know if they're going to be your star agent, or if they're not, then, liberate them and say, hey, this is not for you, and move them on.
It's there. I mean, I've been doing sales and training for a long time, and there was an old saying, and it would be like, if they have 2 feet in a heartbeat, you can train, hire that personality, but you can train the skill. But 2 feet in a heartbeat, you can get anybody to knock on doors, for instance, right? So it's true. You don't know who's going to be your star. You don't know. You don't know who has that discipline and the grit and the fortitude, and who'll just show up every day and be relentless all the time. Like that's what you want.
That's exactly, yeah.
But you don't know who that person is.
Yep.
You just don't.
And some people spark right off the bat, and some people take off a year or a year and a half, 2 years later.
It's a good point. Yeah. I mean, we look at our top 40 or 50, within our network, and it's 80% pretty much the same year after year. That 20% always surprises you. And then you look and you say, you only been in the business how long?
Yeah.
And it's, usually a short time. Or you've been in the business how long? And it's a long time, but it took them that much time to get to that top 50. Yeah. So you're right. There's differences in how quickly someone can get successful.
Yeah, you pick up one thing that's working and you just dial that in.
Yep.
And then you just focus on that one thing that's working, and then you just multiply that. If you have somebody to teach you that, then that's what can be done, right? Like, you find what's working. Okay, this is great. Dial that in, scale it up, and then go from there.
Yep. The consistency is so important, right? As long as you're consistent in your approach and what you do every day, it's going to happen for you. The reactive people tend to be not as successful as the proactive ones.
Sorry, did you say if you wake up and you're reacting, it's not a good thing to do? I could have swore that sounded so familiar. Because we say that all the time to our agents. If you're waking up and you're reacting to a file or you're reacting to an email, it's not the right approach. You should be very proactive in, like, we talk about block scheduling your day. Is this something that you guys talk about in on your side of stuff too? Like,
yeah, I mean, building a solid calendar, a winning week is so important. What does a winning week mean? It means those proactive things that you're doing every single day to find that next deal. Mm-hmm. If you're always looking at your calendar and it's full of phone calls, meetings, follow-up, follow-through, you're going to be probably 10 times more successful than one that wakes up and their calendar is empty. And like you said, is reacting to phone calls or trying to figure out the deal or what should I do next? It's going to be tough for you to be successful.
Yeah, it's 100% correct.
That's what we talk about a lot. And we talk about working on the business and working in the business. And what do you think when you hear that? What does that mean?
Yeah. So if you're working on your business, it's about your planning, your goal setting. It's about making sure you're doing the right things for the right reasons. Working in your business is, the reactive stuff. Okay, I got to learn how to underwrite. I got to learn how to, all the products. Sure, you have to learn all that stuff, but it is the ratio of in and on that's really important. And those that work on their business more are going to see more success than just working in their business, for sure.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Like, new agents are like, oh, I really need to know what this lender is doing. And I'm like, guys, honestly, go find the clients.
Yeah.
Right.
Spend your time in prospecting and bringing in the leads, opposed to trying to learn lenders, products, and how to get these guys accepted. Let us do that part for you guys.
That's where the support comes in on our side. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and listen, let's not feel like knowing products, lenders, policies isn't important. It is so important, because when you're having that conversation with the client, they want to know they're talking to someone that's going to help them. But you're right. There's more emphasis on going to find the clients, doing the prospecting. The learning of the products, what's out there, is something that you can do at night, in the morning.
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
do it. You can do it on your training program. You just launched a great training program, so you're gonna look at that training program and you're gonna, maybe block off an hour to do that. But going out and finding the business, prospecting, ensuring that people know who you do and why you do it, that's probably a little bit more important.
Yeah, because the target that you're trying to achieve, right? Like your end goal, we like what we try to do is we take, okay, here's the end goal. That's the big elephant. Now, how are we going to eat that elephant? Obviously, one bite at a time. So we're going to reverse that to the end goal being, like you said, like the small weekly wins. Like if you win this week and you win next week, you're at 50% chance of winning the month. And then if you win more months of the year, you'll win more years. And that's the whole goal. So when it comes to targets for, like, you guys obviously have targets you guys have to achieve. What does that look like? And how do you guys bite that down into, so here's the big elephant. We want to hit this number.
Yeah.
What do you guys do, or what do you do to approach it?
So let's talk in real time. So we have $100 billion target that's supposed to happen 2027 that was set by our CEO. And
Sorry, say that number again.
$100 billion?
$100 billion.
Yes.
I never even heard that word before. 100 billion.
Yeah, 100 billion.
Holy.
So then that's the target. We now, how do we set ourselves up for success to make sure we meet that target? Well, of course, one is recruitment. making sure that we're going out and we're bringing good quality people in all the time. So our sales team have those targets, from activity of, phone calls a day to meetings, etc. So that's set on the sales side. Then you have the retention side. Retention is so important. You can't fill the bathtub when it's leaking out the back. So what is the retention side? How do you love your people? How do you make sure that you're adding value every single day and they see that value and they're saying, oh my God, this is amazing, and become ambassadors of what you're doing? Retention is so important. And then the tools, technologies, and the support. That all has to come together to ensure that you're growing that same store sale for all your people. So that comes with technology velocity. That comes with Gold Rush. That comes with coming up with programs. That comes with, marketing, ensuring that people understand the tools, the tech, and the products and services they have to grow their base. And all three of those things will get you to the 100 billion. So that's the focus. We all have a job. We know what we have to do, and we go and execute.
I love what you said. So, like me and Danny talk about this all the time. So culture, right? And that comes into the loving the people that you have in retention. Culture is what's going to hold retention.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. I know everybody's heard that, but there's the truth, right? Absolutely. Building that character, that culture is paramount.
That's really important. Yeah, definitely. And when you talk about the loving the people, is it building relationships with them inside of work and outside of work? Is that how do you, what's retention? Because training, recruitment and retention are the two hardest things. And for me as an individual, and it's the most emotional.
Right.
So how do you balance that on your level?
Yeah, and it's really important on the recognition piece. I think recognizing your people is a retention strategy. You should have in your office a celebration of your people, if not, every day, once a week, at least once a month. And then of course the big one at the end of the year. Recognition is so important. You see that through our programs, right? You see that through our achievement programs, through our Hall of Fame programs. Recognizing people is part of loving them, appreciating them, and recognizing them for their accomplishments that they do every day. They're why we exist. So why wouldn't you celebrate them? So that's a big retention piece. Loving your people also includes making sure that they have, the ability to communicate and contact with you. Communication is so vital. And when I say communication, it's got to be two ways. You going to communicate down to your people, but more importantly, them communicating back to you. So how do they get in front of you? Is it through, email, phone calls, open door strategies? All of that is included in loving your people. And just ensuring that they get what they need, listening. I think this industry has a lot of talking and not enough listening. And, you have to listen to your people because they're the ones that are on the street. They're the ones that are practicing, every single day and listening to what they needs and their needs and doing something about it is so important.
It's amazing. I love it because these are the things that we talk about all the time. And it's difficult because your goal as DLCG to get to that 100 billion, it's crazy. And then we have a goal that we want to get to, and it's the same thing. It's recruitment, retention, and of course, providing the right tools. I call them quivers, whatever you want to call it. Little arrows inside your quiver, like that. Those are the things that we need to provide our team because that's our value proposition.
100%.
And then retention is there because we got to show the love and the culture and everything else that you're trying to build. And then the recruiting.
Yeah, and this is the most successful, and you can pick any franchise. Any office, the most successful ones focus on those three things. The ones that are sort of aloof, that, maybe sign up agents and let them be, chances of their growth being anything that's, above normal is very, very small. The value is in, making sure that you are showing value every single day. However you do that is so important. People will be loyal to those that pay attention to their people. Loyalty is built through ensuring that you care, the care factor, and showing that and making sure that people understand that you care. And I saw an ex-agent come in here, drop off donuts, and to celebrate the birth of his son. I mean, that's because you guys cared for that person.
Yeah.
And right? I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
that is,
And even though he left us, right, for another great opportunity that he had, he still thinks of us and,
As family.
As family.
Yeah.
Right? That's
We were like, that's what it was like. And one of the things that we struggle with is the empathetic part or the sympathetic part. It's like, we pour so much into someone, like we pour a lot into the agents. And this is something that I actually realized early, and because I had to think about myself, where I went and where I came from. And I think we all have past, like we asked you where you came from. You were a teller. Obviously somebody was your mentor back then of some sort, right? And then you went
all throughout. Yeah.
and then you went to GE. And when you leave, right, when he left, and any agent leaves, it's not a reflection of us being bad or not doing what we've done. It's a reflection of us helping that root become something. That person's grown, and like that, what the reciprocation of what he's shown today is a true, like it helps with the hard part. He came back to show love. And he's probably out there saying to himself that I was a part of that school. I was a part of that training, that learning. And I think that level of respect is still good.
Yeah. And listen, it's not if, it's when. Your top people will eventually move on.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. It's understanding that. That's why recruitment is so important, because no matter who leaves your office, and we have big franchises that eventually, leave. We have big producers that eventually move on. No matter when that happens, it's not really going to affect your business, because you're always placing in the new that's going to replace that person. So it's not if, it's when, and it's understanding, loving them out the door. That's a big part of it, because you never know when they're going to come back. It's a small industry. That person is going to go out there and talk about your Nesto on a high level all the time. And that's what you want. That reputation piece is really important.
And the nice part is that they've taken what you've taught them, and sometimes you just need another place to grow. And then you take what you've learned and you flourish.
Yep.
Time for a shift. Let's talk about market.
well. I mean, today's was
The announcement,
the announcement
Bank of Canada,
today.
yeah. Disappointing, unfortunately. They did not move. I was expecting a cut. I just thought the Bank of Canada, to be responsible and knowing what's happening in our economy and what's going to happen, they would trigger that quarter.
I
but
thought a quarter point
unfortunately-
for sure.
So did I, man. But you know what? This has been one announcement out of all the other ones that everybody was 50-50 on.
Yeah, you're right.
So everything I read in the last week, and especially coming into today, was like some people are saying, yeah, we're going to see a quarter. Yeah, no, we're going to hold the way it is. So,
But why hold? What does that do to like there's so many people sitting on the sidelines right now. Inventory is really low. Sorry, inventory is really high, but the buyers are just sitting on sidelines. The renewal business is a very tough market right now, because it's a battle of the titans between whoever you're fighting back and forth. So why pause? Why not create, like, do you think if they would have lowered a quarter point, it would have kept people on the sidelines and said, hey, you know what, look, it's dropping. Let's just wait to see what they do the next announcement again. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, these are all good questions, right? I mean, only Macklem knows why pausing was the right thing to do. We saw inflation numbers. They were better than forecasted. Our dollar is strengthening, which you can argue is a good thing on some, but it's a bad thing on others, right? Yeah. So, a strengthening dollar means, less opportunity for exports. The strengthening dollar is not really good for our GDP. So I thought maybe the bank would say, okay, let's figure this piece. But, maybe it's next time they go a half. I don't know. There is an election in 2 weeks. Maybe they thought, put a pause on that, let the election happen, see how things play out.
I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought it was going to be the rate drop to
Show like the gas prices drop.
Maybe that was Macklem sending a message not to vote Liberal. Oh, who said that? Shouldn't be political on here. Shouldn't be political on podcasts.
We've never.
Listen,
Don't cut that out. Leave that in.
And I'm going to definitely say this, and I'm not a politic person, but blue is definitely needed this time around. I am not a person to talk about colors, but
I mean, change would be nice only because if you look at the last 10 years, and all the things that have happened, maybe a change would be interesting and see if that can push our economy to that next level.
There's an old Hungarian who I never knew politics until maybe 2010 is when I really not got in. I'm not into it, but I understood the Democrats versus Republicans, liberals versus conservatives. And he said, Johnny, when you have one party in for so long, like we've had, the liberals, he goes, when a liberal's in party, you need to be conservative as a person. You got to tighten your belt. You don't make big risks, even though we have, but don't take on big risks.
Good advice.
And he goes, and then when the conservatives are in power, because they tighten belt, you can be more liberal in your spending and your investments. And that's what this, and he was a very, very wealthy man. He was very smart. He goes, when they're in power, the conservatives, they're going to, pull back on taxes. They're going to pull back on this. They're going to create more housing and more opportunities, less income tax, whatever it is that their policies have, their platform. You can be liberal as a person. And then when the opposite's in power, and I was like, interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, I wonder. So now we've had liberals in power for so long. They've been spending and spending and spending, making it difficult for us. Now a switch might be, because that's what everybody's hoping for.
I mean, these polls are not showing a change, so it'll be a big surprise, I think, to many if there is a change. I don't know.
I'm totally hoping one way, and like you said, the
and
polls
expecting
are showing
another.
the other, and it's like this is probably going to be one election that we're going to right to the end to find out the answer. Where it's like in previous elections, we're sort of like you sort of knew.
Yeah,
you were like 80% or 90% sure who was going to win the election, but this one is closer to that 50-50.
Yeah.
With the rate hold now, where do you see rates going in the next year or so?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not going to change in terms of seeing cuts, for the remainder of the year. Like I said, will be a half at some point, a quarter, but I think 50 to 100 basis points less on the prime rate is probably or most likely going to happen this year. When it comes to bonds, that's a tough one. And you saw that roller coaster that we had in the last couple of weeks.
It's been up and down. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely
And I mean,
insane.
it's been sort of led by a little bit of tariffs and
yeah,
that kind of stuff, like,
sure. I mean,
pulling money out of the S&P and dumping it into bond securities. Yeah, that's what a lot of investors are doing.
Or back out, right?
Back
so
out,
when
yeah.
they're buying bonds, the yield shrinks. So when they're selling, they increase. So I think you're going in and out of the stock market, as you said. You don't know. I think today is getting smashed again, or yesterday it was a great day. So every day is volatile, and volatility usually causes pause, right? People don't like that massive change, and I think the consumer confidence right now is at the low end, and that always causes housing for housing. If you're looking to buy, and I think there are a lot of people that are still looking to buy, are waiting.
Do you think the days of 2,000 homes in a subdivision is going to come back? Or I don't know if that's the accurate number, but when you had big subdivisions, big homes, big developments, like that's when people were thriving the best. Like you would buy a pre-construction home, you would put a deposit down, and it would take a year, 18 months to build. Or 2 years, whatever it was, and you were up 100,000, 200,000.
Yeah, but
is that coming back?
So
or do you think
if you want to bring that like back, let's say more than 5 years ago, you used to be able to buy a pre-construction home cheaper than you would a resale home.
Correct.
Now it's like the opposite. In order to buy a pre-construction home, you're paying more because they're expecting by the time it's built, it's going to cost more, or the value of the property is going to be more.
Yeah, and I think what it is, Danny, is the expense of building new now.
Well, levies, taxes.
Levies and taxes for sure. The permits, all of that is huge, but also cost of labor, right? Do you remember when there was all those strikes? Those strikes used to always happen. Like you said, subdivisions would shut down for a week because they go on strike, and then they would pay them a little more. They come back, and you don't even hear about strikes anymore.
No,
because they're all getting paid so well. Cost of materials, it's insane.
Yeah.
To build now, and I think that's more the reason why new homes cost more than resale. But obviously, the new home values predict the resale values because you're gonna decide on either or. But I think that's going to continue. I don't think new homes are going to be cheaper for a long time than resale.
Do you think we're undervalued in Toronto? for a city that should be considered a metropolitan, like Vancouver, or I mean, I don't want to say like New York, but obviously their population is a lot more. But is Toronto undervalued?
That's a great question. And you know that the population is big in Toronto, and it's going to keep getting bigger because that's where the jobs are, that's where people want to be. So that demand and supply issue is always going to determine value. If I compare it on the world stage, hard to say. I mean, it's expensive to live in Toronto and Vancouver. They're the biggest markets and it's very expensive. Not saying that it's not worth it or the value isn't there, but if you compare it to the prairies, Quebec, Atlantic Canada. And you look at now, those markets are still thriving. Those markets still have multiple bids. Those markets still have shortage of inventory. But you look at the big markets now, you're seeing inventory grow, prices come down. So it's hard to say. I don't know if it's undervalued, Johnny. I think Toronto is a world-class city. Vancouver is a world-class city. They're both cities that people would pay to live in, so pay that premium. But I can't say if it's undervalued or
Like I don't mean like for me, I think Toronto's I think the value of what Toronto is, I think it's worth more personally. Like for me, I think when people say, "Oh, I'm going to buy a property in Toronto, it's 3 million," I'm like, that's crazy. It should be fucking 5. Like when you go look at like flats in other parts of the world, like England or anywhere else, like you're paying big money for a flat, and in Toronto, it's there, but people we're just not accustomed to it, I guess. And I think okay, last question: the fix. If the values go up in Toronto the way the values should be, like I think Toronto's undervalued. Is that the fix, or is it people earning more to afford more? Is the fix? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people make money two ways. Either you earn more or you earn it in real estate. What's the fix? Is it bring the value up of our homes the way we think it should go, or everybody earns more money and pays less taxes? Like, what's the fix?
Putting a lot of thought in my head, and it's hurting a little bit, Johnny. I'm not gonna lie. That's I mean, income as a relation to value of homes is a big part. Obviously, the ones that make the most income probably live around the biggest cities, at least on a population ratio. So that is going to determine and drive house prices. I don't know. You look at what you get for $1 million, you don't get much in Toronto. You just don't get much. And if you talked about 3 million, like that's a normal detached 4-bedroom, with a decent lot home in Toronto for 3 million. Vancouver's even more. Yeah. So I think it's going to always be demand and supply. The more, well-earning people that live in these cities are able to afford these homes, they will drive that price to where it's going to be. Is it going to be comparable to London, New York, Tokyo? Hard to say.
I feel like we're en route there, and then everything's just, I don't think we're going to get there. Personally, and then
I know that a lot of the comments right now are going to be, what about affordable housing? What about housing for the kids? And how are your kids going to afford a home? And
you don't live in Toronto and you don't live in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Affordable housing exists. And that's why they're thriving in those markets that affordable housing exists, because
you got to move outside the outskirts.
You got to move out in the outskirts. And I think, that's what COVID gave that little bit of push to those markets. And you saw those markets increase because of that push where people can work from home.
Yeah.
I think there's still that, and we can have that conversation maybe another time, working from home, but it still exists, right? There's still that ability to work from home, earn good money, and live beyond, those big market centers like Toronto, Vancouver.
Do you think the next generation will have a difficult time buying homes, or do you think it's just better planning from us parents for our kids? Like
the wealth transfer that's happening right now. So I think about our parents and the values of their homes, and they're going to pass it down to us. We're probably not going to keep that. We're going to probably pass it down to our kids, is my guess, only because our generation seems to be probably the most successful generation in the past. That wealth transfer is going to be interesting, and that's happening now.
You're seeing it a lot now.
Yeah, you're seeing it a lot, right? So like what that's going to cause, Johnny, on that generation, like my kids, Like, is there gonna be more, bank of mom and dad, more, let me help you with that purchase.
Inheritance.
Yeah, inheritance. Let me, I don't need the money, or if I do have the money, I'm still gonna, gift it to you because I gotta help you out. You gotta buy this home. I want you to live close to me. And I understand that in order to do that, you have to spend a little bit more. So I'm gonna help you. I think that's gonna be the catalyst for that generation to be buying homes, is that wealth transfer.
Interesting. Wow, we can we can sit here forever. I like these conversations because this is stuff that I think about on a daily, like even outside of just work. Being a mortgage agent, I talk to clients on the phone and parents. They ask these questions like, Johnny, how, like, okay, I'm going to refinance my house because things are tough, but how do I exit this? And how do I plan for my kids? Well, I'm a mortgage broker. I mean, obviously I think I can introduce you to my financial advisor, but this transfer of wealth and inheritance is one thing, but planning for your kids is a very important thing because if you
gotta
set,
start right from day one. Huh?
you have to. Yeah.
And I honestly think these kids are going to surprise us. I think they're going to do very well, and I think they're going to do better than us.
I think they have way better opportunities now than they ever
I
had.
I agree. I think it's easier to make money now than it ever has been before.
100%.
You can have 4 hustles. Look, sorry, like talk about my son. You can have 4 hustles and make good money. Like you don't like.
And they have that. I think they have more drive than us. Like, think about our generation, what we did, right? We went and got our 9-to-5 jobs. And then we, found, a significant other and got married. We just followed our parents' path. These kids aren't doing that. They're very in tune with that financial success before anything else.
Because they see it in front of them.
see
It's
it.
everywhere.
Right.
Like for me, I would have to drive down Steeles Avenue, pass by Maranello Ferrari just to get a glimpse of a Ferrari sometimes because that was my inspiration. And I would go to a car dealership or I would drive in the National Estates to go look at big houses because that was my inspiration. I couldn't see it on Instagram. I would have to go for a drive.
Yeah.
So now.
Do you remember Autolin?
Autolin? What's that?
Autolin off the QEW where they had the Lamborghini.
Yes,
and,
yes.
Yeah, that was. I remember when I was a kid, my dad would drive by there, and I was glued to the window
Yeah.
because I wanted to see it. And it was always that white Countach in the window.
Yeah.
Hey,
That was in my bedroom.
but we never drove by it. But I always wanted to. But it was the white Countach.
But I was telling these guys here, I think it was early last week. My daughter, we were getting ready to bring her to school, and she's 7 years old, and she came up with this business idea of knitting hats and giving them to the poor. Right. And I'm like, okay, great. This is great idea. You know what I mean? But she's like, but daddy, what we're going to do first is we're going to make cards and we're going to go door to door and sell them so that we can go buy the materials to knit the hats. And I'm like,
7 years.
you're 7 years old.
Yeah.
Like this is something that, high school starts teaching people or whatever the case is. And we got a 7-year-old that is coming up with these ideas in a business. Like we wouldn't have done that well.
No, entrepreneurship or solopreneur, whatever you want to call it now, is very hot. Yeah. Everybody, there's so much opportunity. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the influence, right? The influence of social media, the influence of seeing these, these other successful influencers.
Yeah. Like
and wanting the same, right? Yeah. I was surrounded by, if you got a 9-to-5 job,
you were doing well.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And then and you could put a gravata on. What? At a bank? You were like the most successful.
I remember when I got my first sales job, I got to wear a suit. My grandmother thought I was the cat's ass.
Right.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
Like, yeah, you felt good. But our kids, I think they had listen, the generation above us thought we were going to have a difficult time and we didn't. And it's just the same thing. I don't think our kids are going to have a more difficult time. We're planning better for our kids.
Yeah.
Right. The transfer of wealth, like you said, the generational transfer is going to happen. And I think the opportunity for them is there and they're going to be a lot smarter and they're going to be a lot more these kids don't even drink anymore.
Yeah.
They don't even drink. They don't
Do you
drink.
see this new fad of the cafe with the DJs?
Yeah.
I saw
And they
that
go and they're drinking coffee during the day.
at 10 in the morning.
And
the place was
is
jammed.
packed.
That's amazing. I love that idea.
What an idea.
Yeah. I love
I
that
had
idea.
this idea of going to gym on Fridays and having a DJ between 8 and 10 o'clock where you just have a big party in the gym if you want to go work out and have a good time. Isn't that a good idea?
That's a great idea because
Let's do it.
And then you become the most like you're the most I'm the most creative after my workouts.
Right.
I get my pump in.
But it's just Fridays 8 to 10. If you want to have a party while you work out and you want to come out and just have a good time during that time, that's it. That's only one time. And it's just like the cafe.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
And have a booster juice while you're there, like that energizes your body. Like this is what the kids are into.
Yeah.
They're about health, wealth, and
Yeah, the mocktail.
I've talked about this. Like I've been playing hockey all my life, and then as we get older, you start playing adult sports. You know, like you know, whatever it is, adult
pickup.
leagues,
Yeah,
pickups,
pickups,
and whatever the case is. And bringing beer was mandatory.
Yeah,
Like it was.
you're right.
You were given a penalty if the beer wasn't a certain type, if you didn't show up with the beer or whatever the case is, right? Now it's like I run a pickup league, pickup team, and we don't even talk about beer anymore. Like nobody cares to even have a beer after the game. Like it's
we would
crazy.
go for beer and wings
These
after
kids,
soccer
no one
every
plays.
Thursday night. Now that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. No, it's true. These kids are not, they don't, it's a different mindset. It's
Amazing.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
They're all into fitness,
Yes.
which is great. Like they're all into fitness, health. It's great. And then here we are about to open up a bottle of tequila.
So let's talk about this tequila, gentlemen.
Yeah, let's do that. Eddie brought us a bottle. Eddie, where did this come from and what is it?
I was coming back from Mexico on one of the trips. I can't remember which one. And I really like Casa Azul, but it's really the price is getting a little bit ridiculous. So I just asked the sales, hey, what's the closest to? And they said, this one here. And it was a third of the price. So I go, okay, I'll take two of them. And I wanted to gift one to you guys. I've started the other one back home. It's not bad. It's not Azul.
Well, we're gonna have to rate it. So
okay.
let me explain the rules.
Okay, let's hear it.
So this is what we do. So we grab the bottle and we rate it by 3 categories: appearance, taste, and price.
Okay, when you say appearance, the bottle or appearance, the actual?
Appearance, the bottle.
Okay,
the bottle
that's really
appearance
interesting.
out
Little
of 10.
sword.
So out of 10, obviously 10 being the highest. Then we rate the taste out of 10, 10 being the highest, and then the price. Is the price worth what the bottle
I
gives?
got to remember the price. Okay, yeah, I think it's mono.
That is on top of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I'm sort of looking that up. Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know. I don't know anything about this bottle. So
So how do you even open this thing? Oh, here we go. All right,
Can this be found here? Probably not.
I have no idea.
I have looked this up. We cannot buy this at the LCBO, and all the other Canadian websites that I did check out did not available.
what is this?
So that's a start.
It's an añejo.
Yep. And the bottle, I don't know. What do you guys think out of 10?
Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
you gotta rate it, and then
you're first. So grab
So here, let me talk about the bottle.
Yeah,
first,
go ahead.
okay? So they claim that this bottle is totally additive free. So when you're comparing the which bottle were you comparing? That you
Azul.
Class
the
Azul.
Class Azul. When you're comparing the Class Azul, which has a lot of additives, might be the reason why you're liking it more than this one.
ooh,
So this one here, stating, we haven't tried this yet, but it has
we've
no
learned all
additives,
this over the
okay?
last year.
okay.
Their production process is 100% natural and fermentation without any chemical addition. So
Additives. Okay.
And this is aged what, 15 months?
let me see what
Because it's
the
not
aging
15, it's not-
process
It says
is.
15 here. 15
Is this-
anus.
or 15 anniversary.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, let's see.
It's all. It's
Messes
all,
is
Hey, you know this is from Mexico. It's all in Spanish.
It's aged 15 months.
15 months. Okay. Is that good or bad?
Yeah. Well, that's why it's a añejo.
That's why it's a añejo.
Oh, okay.
So an añejo is aged more than 2 months. 2 months?
I don't remember. We had a tequila specialist on the show explain it to us once.
I think the bottle is okay. I mean, it's not an Azul, a beautiful ceramic, hand painted. It doesn't come even close to that. The shape is very regular. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, he's rough like me.
So you have to do all. You have to
Then taste.
Oh, I have to taste it too. I'm going to open this.
let's pour it. So do you guys want me to pour it?
Yeah, please.
Nice look. Oh, you're cheating. Are you cheating?
I just tasted it.
Okay, so
Can I say something from behind? Because I've tried a lot of tequilas.
Cheers, guys.
Did you get olives first taste?
Wow.
The taste of olives.
I taste something
Yeah, you
that's
do,
really.
actually. I like that.
Why? Have you tried this one before?
I just licked my finger. When I-
Oh, I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah, I can see that too.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers. Yeah.
Well, you definitely smell. I lost this. You definitely smell the agave, pepper, oak. There's some white pepper in there.
Okay, so appearance, it looks nice. It smells nice. It smells really nice.
So appearance, you said 5. Taste?
Yeah. Sorry, taste. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Solid 7.5. I still don't feel like it is comparable to the Azul, but it's got a nice taste to it. Nice smell. I think it's about $100. Is it about $100 Canadian?
I am still trying to find this price.
I remember they say it was about a third of the price of it, so I didn't say $100 Canadian. For $100, I think it's great.
Haven't
Great
been
value.
able to locate the price of this.
I'm gonna
bottle.
say 9 for that price point.
About 8.
Yeah.
Overall 8.
Yeah, let's give it an 8.
Johnny,
Yeah, past that bottle, it's about to get ripped apart.
I love it.
But hey, this is part of the presentation. Eh?
So there, I have found the price, and the price for this bottle is around the $75 American one.
Okay, $100. Yeah, I was right on. Well, just over $100.
All right, so the bottle is nice. You know what it reminds me of? A Taylor Flaggate.
A Taylor flag.
Does any those ice wines?
Oh,
It looks like an
yeah,
ice.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying
The
to.
long.
Yes.
Yeah, so it looks like an ice wine bottle, and that to me is not a tequila bottle, so it's gonna get a 5 like you gave it
Yeah,
because it's not doesn't look like go look at all those tequila, but those are tequila bottles.
Yeah,
this looks like ice wine. It looks like ice wine, but
That's good.
the taste is absolutely really good. It's actually not bad.
It is very nice.
Yeah, there's no.
I actually really like this.
Yeah, the fact that there's no additives to it is a nice thing. Yeah, I'm probably gonna match that 7.5 because it really is good. And then if you're saying it's $70, like for me, that's a winner.
USD.
Yeah,
USD. So
about
let's
90.
say 90, $100.
yeah, anything over $100 gets killed.
Yeah. So the value is there. I
Yeah,
agree.
the value's there. So yeah, it's got to have that 9.
You
Because
can't put it on your shelf though. It's too tall.
this goes on the top of the shelf.
There you go.
So we got 8, Danny.
Yeah, Danny.
Do the bottle, Danny.
I'm in agreement with the look of the bottle for sure. I don't think it really looks like a tequila bottle personally. So I'll give it a 6.
You wonder if they added this because they knew that they get smashed. That bottle was on the shelf, so they put it on this.
They put it. It looks like a Scotch bottle.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
like there you go.
Yeah.
A Scotch bottle.
Maybe that's why they've added this sleeve. I don't know.
Yeah. Like,
So Danny, what are you giving it? A 6?
I'm giving the look as a 6. Flavor. I like this for $100 for an anejo is awesome.
yeah. That's what I mean. Like you're usually paying over 100 for.
Yeah, you're over 100 usually for anejos.
So flavor, you're giving it.
It's nice, really nice. 8.5 for sure.
And price point.
And price point again, $100 for anejo is right down my alley. So 8.5 there too.
8,
Yeah.
8. Well, 8.5 more. Danny. Johnny, take it.
Yes. So Eddie, thank you. This was amazing. I think the whole conversation, even before the whole, outside of work stuff and hobbies, but yeah, we appreciate you a lot. Thank you for the
thanks.
support. Thank you for being a part of DLC. Thank you for answering the phone when we call.
Absolutely, man.
Like that's a big deal. And thanks for being on the couch. We appreciate you. Tell us where they can find, or tell them where they can find you if you want. If you want to be
absolutely.
found.
So email is my preference, Eddy, EDDY @dlc.ca, or you can reach out by phone, 647-403-7320.
I don't think anyone's ever left their phone number on.
Yeah,
here.
jeez. He's old school.
I did that. I don't know if you saw a couple of those videos I did just around the tariffs. I thought I just put myself out
I
there.
love it. Yeah, it's good.
And I put myself out there with my email, my phone number, and then of course they can message me. Oh boy, it was great. I mean, I loved having those conversations, making sure. But I learned that if you're going to do that, make sure that you don't have a busy schedule. And but it was good. It's always good to be available. It's always good to have that open door. And we have this saying, speed of response is a wealth secret, right? So
Speed to lead.
yeah, speed to lead, right? Speed of response is a wealth secret. So if you can get back to people quickly, then I think it's going to always help you in your business. Leave it at that.
Absolutely. Danny, where can they find you?
You can find me on all social platforms, Mortgages by Danny C. And then obviously here at our office in Bolton. Johnny?
You could find the podcast on On the Couch Podcast 23 on all streaming platforms on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram. And you can find Your Nesta Financial here at Your Nesta Financial's headquarters in Bolton. And then that's it, pretty much. You can find me everywhere. I'm all over the place.
Awesome, guys.
Thank you guys, and see you next time.
In the sky, you shine.